Hello and welcome. This is a tutorial for myself and whoever else in the future might need or want the help. Hopefully this helps you. This is just everything you might need to know for uploading a version of your project for Oculus Quest in the Oculus dashboard. This is January 25th, 2022. And this is also for people who are creating a project in Unreal Engine. So first things first, you're going to want to open up your project, go to Edit, and go to your project settings because we have to change a few things. By default, a few things won't be what you need them to be for Oculus to meet their requirements or prerequisites. I don't know if I'm getting that right. So first things first, this is just standard for any platform you're going to upload to or create a project for, or just in general. You're going to want to have your editor startup and game default startup map or maps selected to be the correct maps that you want to start your game on. And then you're also going to want to, under packaging here, you're going to want to use pack file. I don't think this is checked by default, and actually this is maybe something I might want to look into later. Not saying I'm an expert on any of this, by the way, but this is just how I've done it, and I've been able to successfully submit a version of my project to Quest in Steam now. So take that with a grain of salt, I guess. I believe the build under project default, I'm pretty sure, but build configuration you do have to have on shipping as per the instructions on the Oculus website. For developers, they have instructions and stuff on what settings to have, and this is one of them. This is one of the things they recommend, that you have shipping configuration enabled, and that you have your build target. Well, this isn't even something that they suggest so much, if I remember right. This is just something that you need in order to package it all. You need to have a build target name. So I just named it my project. I think you'll probably have it whatever you want. The staging directory doesn't really matter right now because they're going to ask again anyway. When you go to package, you're going to have to select your staging directory, where in your files it's going to be saved. This is also something that they required in the instructions for Oculus, that you have full rebuild checked and for distribution checked. I think that's about it. Oh, I have this also checked. I don't know if this was default or not. Supported platforms, here we are. You're going to need to have at least Android selected for your supported platforms. You could also just have all of them selected, and that's what I've done before, and that still works, but it's probably best that you just have Android selected if you're only developing for Oculus Quest and not PC VR or anything else. Target hardware. Once again, if you're developing for Oculus Quest, you want mobile/tablet and scalable 3D or 2D selected. Okay, what's next? I think it's rendering. Yep, rendering. Did I pass it? There it is. These are also, this whole step, the rendering step, is just for performance, but you're going to need it anyway, and it's going to be required. Like, they're going to have you, when you open up the performance test window for Oculus, they're going to have you go back to this page a lot and uncheck or check certain things. I would say some of this is actually certainly required, but most of this is just kind of not entirely required, but certainly, what's the word? Suggested, I guess. So the what do you call it? Disable vertex fogging I have on, meaning there's none of that fogging stuff for the shaders, whatever. Maximum number of CMS cascades to render I have on 4. Mobile MSAA is 4 times. I think maybe they had 2 times in the recommendations. I forget. I turned on movable lights. I don't know if they recommend to have that on and off. I think it would probably be off, but I don't think it's the end of the world if you have it on. Most of these aren't super important or vital, but this is one of the ones I found that helped the most, is to turn off your well, not turn off, but to reduce the reflection capture resolution by a buttload, because by default I think it's like 128. I turned it down to 8, and that helped a whole lot with performance, because otherwise your frame rate's going to be horrible the whole time. Let's see what else we got. I think you do need forward shading checked on. Don't know about the vertex fogging or opaque thing. Don't remember that. Allow static lighting I have on. Let's see what else we got. A lot of this is default, if I remember right. This probably isn't. Ambient occlusion, static fraction. Yeah, I don't think that's default. This might be on by default. I turn it off. Never has really helped me before. Preview shadows in games. Let's find the stuff that they recommend that I can remember at least. Now, here's the important stuff, the VR stuff. So by default, mobile HDR is going to be on, and instant stereo probably won't be, and neither will mobile multi-view. You're going to want to reverse that. Mobile HDR has to be off, and it's going to tell you this when you try and when you try and upload or do your performance window thing. This has got to be off. And instant stereo's got to be on in order to have mobile multi-view on, I'm pretty sure. And you do need mobile multi-view on. This will also screw with your ability to create the game for PC VR if you have mobile multi-view on. I'm pretty sure if you turn this off and the instant stereo off and put mobile HDR back on, then you can package your game for PC. But with this on, you'll see, it's gonna look real funky. Let's see what else we got. This might be something that it's under experimental. Well, I'm pretty sure this is something that Oculus wants you to have on, but I'm pretty sure might still be technically default either way. This might not be what I think it is, actually. Never mind. Definitely don't have ray tracing on. And max movable spotlights, point lights. You can adjust this as you need. And it might tell you to turn certain things off, but you might need this on for certain features of your game, obviously, like if you have flashlights in your game and stuff. Let's see here. And I think that's everything for rendering. Let's go over to Android. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So, for when you open up this platforms Android section of your project settings, it's going to ask you to generate the Android manifest XML files, or file, sorry. You're going to want to select generate, and if this isn't your accept SDK license, if this isn't grayed out already, you're going to want to also accept that. I think that's just simply if you've already had downloaded an SDK in your Android Studio. Next up, you're going to want to use this tool often. This opens up the file folder for your build in your project, you know. So there's the project folder, it's build, Android. This is what it opens. This is where you're going to be putting a few things that you're going to need, like your key and your manifest requirements override text document that will help us with the prerequisites. You know what I mean. Prerequisites. There we go. Store version. This has to be updated with each upload, otherwise it runs another error. So start with 1 and, you know, work your way up. I think you could probably do point something, I don't know, but I think the store version and the display name, the version display name also has to be matching. They have to be the same. The application display name is the name of your game or project. I guess you can leave it blank, but I've run into issues leaving it blank, so I usually put in the actual project name. And finally, well, actually not finally, this next step is a requirement. You need your minimum SDK version and your target SDK version have to be 23 and 25. That's also on the Oculus instructions page for developers in Oculus Dash. Also, install location has to be set to auto. You're going to want to package game data inside of the APK. And what else is important? This is pretty important for saving your game, I believe, because you're going to want to get rid of the write external storage permission. Why can I show you that? The write external storage permission that Android creates by default when you package your game. And because Oculus does not allow for read or write external storage, including some other permissions that Android creates. And if they do allow it, which they do sometimes, you'd have to have a reason. So if you have a good reason that your game can't save without this, and you've tried checking this box and it doesn't save and stuff, then tell them in your notes when you're uploading it. Otherwise, you check that box, and you're also probably want to check this box, and then it will allow you to save correctly. Finally, and also, once again, not an expert on all this stuff, but this is just what I found from lots of trial and error. And I could be wrong any step of the way. Well, not any. A lot of these are directly from the Oculus instructions. So I'm just kind of walking you through in a visual and audio format instead of the strictly text-based one. Orientation needs to be set to landscape. That's also in the instructions. And you also need enable full screen immersive on KitKat and above devices enabled. I also have this enabled to improve virtual keyboard. And this part I don't think is super important, but I have that enabled. I don't remember. Generate app bundles. I think all this stuff here that I have selected might be default. I don't think a lot of this was in the instructions. So this might be something you need to play around with or look up specifically to figure out how it could help or hinder your project. Honestly, this generate app bundle thing, that seems like the biggest one to me, but I don't know. I have ARM64 checked because that's what you're going to be packaging it as, and support OpenGL is checked because I think that helps us with the packaging. All right, here comes the more complicated stuff, I guess. This is where you can edit the manifest a little bit. Not so much, unfortunately. I've tried seeing if you can get rid of permissions through this step, but you have to do it another way, unfortunately. Unless there's something I haven't tried, and that's possible. This is, let's see here. This is the advanced APK packaging, and it's the manifest sort of structured by its paragraphs, in the code for the manifest file. I'm not really describing it super well. And you can edit it here. So where you want to add extra tags to the manifest, I guess you can always, maybe, no, I think extra permissions would be down here. Well, I guess if you had another, if you knew how to use Android Studio, if you knew how to use the write manifest code and stuff, then you knew the correct commands like if something something something, then you would probably want to start by adding extra tags to the manifest, and then doing it here, because it would be way easier than trying to go into was it Virtual Studio or whatever, or into Android Studio, or creating a text file that overrides stuff. Probably way easier just to do it here. But that's where we're getting that's what I'm trying to describe for this next part, where you need to add these two tags to the application node in your manifest. And it's simple. It's just Android allow backup equals false, and Android use clear text traffic equals false. Those two are, what do you say? Those are more of the permissions that are default, that aren't even really sort of like announced when you're packaging the project, but are still there anyway. that Oculus does not like, and is one of those things where you're going to want to get rid of them. So just it'll help you with some headaches, and some hassle, just to get rid of that right off the bat by putting in, add element and then writing down this text for just these two. If you find another way to get rid of the other permissions they don't like, that's probably what you're going to want to do here. Anyway, finally, we also want to add under package for Oculus mobile devices, we want to add 2 elements, and by default it'll just be Quest and Quest 2. And lots of tutorials say to remove Oculus signature files for distribution, APK. If you don't want to do that, you want to have that unchecked, and that actually is in the instructions for the Oculus developers page or whatever. The remove Oculus signature files or whatever for distribution, that might help you for, I don't know, I guess testing it and stuff, but you're going to want to have that unchecked if you want to submit it. Let's see what else. Where are we? Okay. Oh yes, the signing. Okay, so we're gonna go through this later on in the video, but you need to have the name of the file you created with your key store information that has to be placed in your project build folder. That's where we showed you earlier. This area. This is the mykey.keystore, because it's a key store file. This is where it is. You also need your alias that you created for that key that you created, and also this is going to be another step that we do later. This is where we create the key. But for now, you might just want to have to put in the information that you're going to put in when you create the key anyway. So for me, I just called it my key, and then you have the .key store for the file type, and then the alias for the key, the name for it is, the package name. It's Death by Tomato. But so if you have another name for your game, like Cool Killing Friends or something, or Epic Racer or whatever, that's where you put it. That's the alias for the key. Or you could put in just a random code of numbers if you want to do that, but this is just easier to remember. And then finally, the password. I don't have my password here right now because I don't want you guys to see it, but that's where you would put your password. And if your password is the same as your key password, if your key store password and the key password are the same, you just put it in here and it'll do it for both. And that's almost everything. Finally, your Android SDK locations. This is just where the Android SDK Windows files and JDK files and NDK files were all were all saved to when you installed it, or installed to, I don't know the term. And you're going to want to have latest written down here for sure, so it knows to use the latest version. And I'm back. Okay, so my mic died, and I can see it's working now. So let's get back to it. Okay. Whoops. There we go. I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have eaten. Okay. Excuse my chewing. What the heck were we? Oh. Oculus. So, if you have loading screens in between your game that aren't part of a root level or something, you're going to want splash screen enabled. You also want, Jesus, why does it keep disconnecting? Okay, is it working? Hello? Okay, it's working. If you have, yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're gonna want Oculus build telemetry enabled. Also here we have the performance window. This is where you can, select mobile, and then check, performance settings, suggestions, and stuff. I've already checked all these lights. That's fine. I could go through and select each one, but it's not that big of a deal. But this is where it would give you recommendations, requirements, or suggestions to better for your game's performance, basically. Next, we're going to need to go through, and I think these are checkmarked by default. You leave them. Under mobile, you're going to want to go through, and this will maybe help you with performance, maybe not, it's up to you. But this is what I did, is I went in and used the fixed foveated rendering level settings with Oculus Quest, to the highest setting basically, and that's the pixelation of your peripheral vision. Basically everything that's not in the center of the screen gets rendered at a lower level, basically. And then you also want dynamic checked as well for that to work properly. And then also your GPU and CPU level I put up pretty high because it wasn't catching up. It wasn't using enough power to catch up during the gameplay, because it's kind of like one of those sword fighting quick motion games, so I needed it to be at a higher level. If you don't need it at a higher level, it's really recommended that you don't really have it at a higher level. Have it at where you need it, because the higher it is, the more battery life it's going to use in your headset. And that means that the people who buy your game are going to be figuring out pretty quickly that your game is draining their headset when they play it. And that's not always a bad thing. That's just kind of like a risk, or not risk, but it's kind of like a trade-off, like, all right, do I want to play this fun game? Is it worth it? Is it really fun enough to drain my headset within an hour of playtime or something? I think that would be if you had it set at like 8 or something. I don't know if you can set it that high, but anyway, now you understand. The higher that those are set, the more usage it's going to use. Anyway, so hand tracking support. I don't have hand tracking support. If you did use hand tracking support, which I believe there's a template now to use, you could check this and have it for both if you want. That's pretty much everything you need to know right now for the Oculus VR plugins section in your project settings. Also, here is the platform window. This is where you will upload your actual APK file to Oculus, to your Oculus Dash, using your application ID and all that stuff. Anyway, close that. So now let's go ahead and head to the Dash. What you're gonna do when you create your developer account and you get onto the Oculus Dash page, you're gonna want to select create a new app, and I don't think it's gonna look exactly like this, but you're basically gonna be given your app product details page, and you go to your submission section. I think it'll bring you straight to the submission section. Submission section, and you put in your name, your lease type, and all that. Most of this you don't need a tutorial for. Some of it I think you might. This build section is really neat because this is all the checks that the person or people who are reviewing your app will go through, and you're going to want to go through it yourself before submitting your app, so that way you don't have to force them to send it back and forth between you and them, because you didn't go through these checks and make sure that it's working before you sent it out, because it's a pretty long line. It takes a while before them to actually get to your app, because there's a lot of other apps for them to check. Anyway, the one part that I think I might want to help a little bit for myself in the future, at least, is in the assets and the content rating sections. For the assets section, if you're like me and you don't have any like paid subscription to any like Photoshop or photo editing software, you just use the free stuff because it costs money. I don't have a whole lot of that. Then what I use is Sketchbook, because that's one of the I think it's default. If not, I'm very certain it was free. Tools in Windows looks like this. It was pretty handy dandy, It helps with cropping a little bit. I use that for some of the scaling because you have to have specific dimensions for all these assets, and you should go to the view asset guidelines section here in order to almost, let's make sure my mic's working. Yeah, it's still working. In order to make sure that you're getting all the steps right for your assets, because if you don't have the right format and size, and you don't have it the right colors popping out, they give you examples of what not to do and what to do, and how it should look for different assets that you're creating here. Just follow their instructions step by step and get them right the first time, because you don't want to have to redo your whole store page with all the assets and stuff. And so, I mean, for mine, I'm keeping it pretty simple. You do need to do a transparent, see the logo transparent. And so for that step, I think I used Sketchbook for the transparent, but for most of the scaling and stuff, I used just Paint 3D. Oh, there it is. It was Paint 3D, because it's got some pretty cool, like you can use crop, you can set your height and width and stuff. And then it's also got under tools, canvas, which also helps a whole lot. And you can keep it transparent as well. So all those tools help a whole lot when creating these assets for for your store page. And that's what this is for. And then finally, for the video, for the trailer, I just use Blender because that's also free. You just install Blender and then get the right frame. No wait, yeah. What's it called? Aspect ratio. That's it. Look at the right aspect ratio and the right file type and the right audio type as well. I think you need. There's a few settings you have to change. And to get there, it's a little complicated. Let's see if I can open up Blender real quick. Blender. So what I do here, and this might be an older version of Blender, is I go straight to video editing, opens up this, and then for this box here, I open up my properties, and that's pretty much everything you need to do for the setup. If you want to add in movie frames and stuff, videos to edit, you go to add movie, and then that's where you input it here, and you can edit it in this timeline. You're gonna need to look up some tutorials because I can't go through every step of how to use Blender because there's a lot. But here's your resolution and stuff. There's the aspect ratio. I forget actually the settings exactly that I had. I think it was just it'll tell you, because it won't tell me right now because I've already completed this step, but it'll tell you here under trailer exactly what it's supposed to be at. And also I think in the, I'm pretty sure in this here, hero cover, logo transparent, does it? Oh, it doesn't go over the trailer, does it? Dang. Okay, well, I'm sure you can find information on how to do the trailer. Oh, there it is, trailer cover image. Oh, just the image. Dang, thought it would give you details on the trailer. Well, oh wait, here it is. Following required, MP4. Yeah, there it is. So these are the settings you need to set it to. Resolution max 2K, MP4. Okay. Yeah, so you get the idea. When you're in Blender, you need to set all those settings. So if I remember right, was it post-processing, performance? No, it was post-processing. Metadata, output. Oh, that's where it is. Whoops. I think it chose like xvid, and then from there, under encoding, I can go to API. That's MPEG-4, and then from here, where was it? There it is, H.264. I think that's what you want set, and then for audio, just MP3. And let me double check to make sure that's correct. Oh, AAC. Huh. Okay, well, just make sure that you follow the formatting correctly, and then it should upload fine. Okay, yeah, mic died again. But next step is to submit the build. Let's go back real quick. So we were here in the the app metadata section and stuff. To submit a build, you would go to submission, build version. It says you can upload new versions here, and you'll see that the upload build thing doesn't actually do anything now, but you can still upload from Unity, Unreal Engine, the Oculus platform utility, and so on. And you can change current build here, and you can also change it back over, where was it? Here. That's all cool. But if you haven't uploaded your build from Unreal Engine, then you don't really have anything here. It's just an empty space. Nothing to click on. What are you sniffing at? What? There's nothing there. Yeah, no food. Nothing. Go on the couch. Good girl. So that's where this comes in. This is where you would, in Unreal Engine, this is where you would submit or upload your build that you can submit to be reviewed. It would be the Oculus launch platform window. But can't do that yet because first we need to do our app signing. So to get that done, what we need is to go to, in Unreal Engine, we need to go to Android SDK. This is where we can find our JTK file directory. Of course, I think this is something that we would have set up earlier. So if you don't have this set up, then you're just gonna have to find where your JTK file is, where it was sent to when you installed Android Studio, which you do need in order to do any of this. I'm pretty sure you need Android Studio, and I recommend the latest version. So once you have the right directory, you're gonna want to go there in your File Explorer, and you'll want to double click on bin. Why on earth is it still disconnecting stuff? Stop disconnecting. Stop it. Okay. Double click on bin, and then you'll want to highlight that directory and copy it. You can Control C or you can right click, copy. Cool. From there, you're going to want to open up a command line. So let's go ahead and do that. To do so, you can just press and hold the Windows key and then type R. You'll see this will pop up. Type in CMD here, and it'll open up this, a command line. So my directory is in the D disk. So we're gonna want to open up the D disk here. So now we're in D. Just typed in D : and now we're there. And then we're gonna want to type in, what was it, PC? Oh, I might need to look at my little picture. CD, of course, CD, CD, oh yeah, and then paste our directory. There we go, Control V. And then that should open up the bin. From the bin, all we need to do is type in key tool, this is the tool we're using, and then dash gen key, so we can generate a key, dash V, space dash key store. This will be the actual key store that we're creating. That's the file, and it's going to be called, we can call it whatever we want. I'm going to call it me key dot key store. We need to, it's important that you put in the dot key store because that's the file type. And then gen key, okay. Now we need our alias. So ALIAS. That's the name of the game or project that we're doing. So just gonna make up a name, fun game. And then store pass. Whoops. Store pass. This is the password. For this one, it's just gonna be called password. You could have the password be whatever you want. You just want to remember what it is, Maybe write it down in a notepad or something. I don't know. And then finally, validity. How long will it last? Will it be valid for? And then a little instructional video I found on YouTube said to just put 9,999. I found another one says to go like 10,000. Oh, sure, well, let's go 10,000. 100,000. I think it's by days. I don't know what the measurement of time is. That's an interesting spot you're in there, Leia. Yeah. Are you comfy? All right. And then enter. And now it's going to ask you for some information. And you're just going to go ahead and input all that info, you know? So, you know, your name, squiddles. I don't know. Just making up names. Organization, beep. Name of, oh, that's organization unit. Name of organization, meep. A city, a place. I'm just kidding. Use an actual city name. I don't know. Well, you should probably use actual real information for all this. I'm just giving you examples. You know, city, San. Dan. I don't know. State, California. Country, U.S. Is this all correct? Sure, yeah, that's right. And then there it is. It just generated the key, and then, well, it's not completely finished now. If you want the the key password to be same as the key store password, you just click enter. If you want something different, then you type it in here. But I'm just gonna click enter, boom, and then now it's created. And if you go back to your bin, you see there it is, me key. And what we're gonna do is copy this, and then we're gonna go to the Android. Sorry, go back in our project settings, Android, and you see here your build folder. This is just the build folder in your actual Unreal Engine project. So you build Android, and that's where you want to paste your key. There it is, and then that way, I'll go ahead and delete it because I actually already have a key. That way, when you go down to this step, all the way down here, for the key store, you just put in your information for your key, including your password, and when you package your project, voila, it's signed. Done. Also, when you upload it, it's signed. It's done. Voila, la, da, da. That's it. All right. What's the next step? Android permissions. Okay. Now, this part, I've had like so many different, well, not so many, like at least 3 different big ways of trying to fix the default permissions in Android. So, oh my God, it's doing it again. Okay, it's done. So let's go ahead and close this. The way I've found that seems the most likely to work, that hasn't really worked perfectly, but it did sort of its job, was to, there it is, add in your build folder a manifest requirements override. And so all the permissions will be in the requirements section of your manifest. So if I can quickly show you, let's go to our project real quick. Let's go find that manifest. It would be under, shoot, I actually don't remember. Intermediate? Yeah, that's right. Intermediate, Android, and look, there it is. There's the manifest. And so you're going to want to, you know, open with like Notepad or something if you want to be able to actually look at it. So this is the manifest. It automatically generates when you package a project, or when you launch it too. So pretty much the majority of all the stuff here in the requirements section, although a lot of them are actually required for it to work properly. A lot of it too is is restricted by Oculus, like this one here. I think uses permission, name, Android permission, read external storage. If you go into, where is it, your build Android manifest requirements override, then you should be able to get rid of that. But I don't know. I've been having some issues with it. And also, I've noticed that if you get rid of certain requirements, then it just doesn't work anymore. Like, it doesn't even start in VR. It doesn't do a lot of things. Oh, also, a few things you want to add using the requirements override would probably be this start in VR thing. Actually, I think that might be there by default if you selected start in VR in your project settings. Anyway, it's something that you're going to need to look up more tutorials on. This is, once again, I'm not an expert. So this is something that still need to figure out a little bit. I'll have to get back to you once I do. But for now, the manifest requirements override, that's one of the tutorials, or one of the suggestions, one of the solutions. The other one is to go into, what was it called? Virtual Studio? No, it wasn't. Was it Vision Studio? Vision. That was it. Visual Studio. Go into Visual Studio. Create a basically a C++ code for your game. Let's see here. You convert your project to C++, so you can create your Visual Studio file for it. And you open it up in Visual Studio, and then you need to edit the. I know if you're someone like me who just uses the blueprints, this is already looking like, oh no, I don't want to do any of this. I can understand why, because it's difficult. At least difficult for someone like me. Okay, it's doesn't always work, and it's still frustrating. So you would go in here and you would import or input a whole bunch of code that would make it so it would run your override file correctly, or create a new override file that it would run, basically. So that way you can get it so it won't it won't create these permissions. But it seems like you need special plugins or something in addition to it, because a lot of the code, a lot of the special what are they called, like variables that you would use, and different types of words you would use, won't highlight correctly. It won't be typed in correctly. Even if you type it in correctly, it won't actually show as the right type. It's really strange. So I don't know. It's one of those things where you really just have to look up endless amounts of tutorials to try and figure out, I guess. Unless, of course, the manifest thing works. The override manifest requirements override note. I think maybe another thing to try is maybe create the note as an XML file. Maybe then it'll work. I don't know, but probably not. It probably does need to be just a regular text. And maybe because I created it as a notepad, and that might not work as text, and it needs to be a different file type. I don't know. Something to play around with for sure. But those are the two main ways I found through many hours of looking that people seem to get rid of these permissions that Android likes to create. Anyway, what's the next step? What's the last one? I know we're getting there now. Android permissions, app assets, upload the build. Okay, yeah. So now we're just at the upload build part. Really simple. Now that you've got your key created and everything, and you've hopefully found a way to get rid of all the necessary Android permissions, you want to go to Oculus VR under plugins in your project settings in your project in Unreal Engine, and go to Oculus, launch Oculus platform window. And I'm not going to do it because it's going to show my my Oculus ID right away. But yeah, once you open that up, it's going to ask you for your ID and for your secret is what they call it, and you can find that right here in API under your app that you created in your Oculus dashboard under the app manager. So once you select API, which I'm not going to do right now because it's going to show all my information, you'll just input the long, big, huge number. Actually, I think that's the app number, whatever. The big, huge, long number for your app, and then the big, huge, long number for your secret. You input it into your Oculus platform window. I guess I could just launch this then because app ID doesn't matter. Make sure that your target platform is Quest, since you're launching on the Quest. Input your APK file path, and your release channel. You can have it on beta, alpha, or whatever, depending on I guess how many times you've or what version you want to be launching, I guess. And if you need expansion files, I guess this is where you could put it in. And then you just click upload. And if you did everything correctly, then it will upload it to your Oculus dashboard here. And you just go to submission, you go to your build version, and when you click the drop down window, there it will be, and that's it. You can click that. Once you're done inputting all your information for your store and your app metadata, and you've gone through your build VRCs, your checks, then you can submit it. And then you just wait, like 2 to 3, 4, 6, whatever weeks, however many weeks it takes them to review your app. And then, they will either approve it or send it back for some changes. Probably send it back for some changes regarding to the security, which is the app permissions section from Android that Android creates, and hopefully that's it. You get approved, and then you can choose to release it then, or have a release date. That's everything. That is it for launching on or uploading to. Okay, it's done. Uploading to Oculus Quest. Uploading an Oculus Quest app for Oculus. For creating an Unreal Engine app in Oculus. That's it. That's how you do it. That's most of the steps. Anyway, I hope this helps me in the future, and I hope this might help someone else.